check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Personal development is the key to the better future. Success is something you attract. And to attract attractive people, you must be attractive. To attract dedicated people, what? You must be dedicated. To attract positive people, you must be positive. To attract loyal people, you must be loyal. To attract gifted people, you must be gifted. To attract sincere people, you must be sincere. It's a matter of attracting the people you want. That's really the key to leadership. Next, leadership is the big challenge of the 80s. Science, politics, industry, education, sales. Here's one of the most important leadership roles in the future. Parenting. Parenting, mother and father. Or sometimes a single father or a single mother that has to be both mother and father. This is such an incredible challenge. Guess who the great heroes are in our country? Teachers and single mothers. I can't imagine the job. It's almost too tough to imagine. I was coming back once from San Diego back to Los Angeles, and it was 1 o'clock. I'd been to a very late meeting. I stopped by Denny's. 24-hour coffee shop was open. I stopped by Denny's. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I walk in to have a little something, a piece of pie I think it was, and a cup of coffee. And at Denny's at 1 o'clock in the morning was the Avon lady. And she had a couple of waitresses around her, and she was showing the Avon products. 1 o'clock in the morning. When I finished my pie and coffee, I engaged her in conversation. I said, I have never seen an Avon lady at Denny's at 1 o'clock in the morning. She says, well, this is the best time. When the waitresses aren't so busy, and one at a time or two at a time, they can come and sit at my table, look at what I've got, and make purchases. I says, why do you do this? And she said, I'm a single mother with 2 children. Don't have to say any more, right? 1 o'clock in the morning at Denny's. This is called commitment of the best kind, right? Wow, these are the heroes. People that have such extraordinary circumstances to have to deal with, and they do it. They have such responsibility, and they do it. Right? They're stacked high with, difficulties, and they do it. They do it. Especially mothers. So the challenge is parenting, leadership in parenting. Here's the next challenge in leadership. To step above mediocrity, where you can not only help yourself, but help someone else. Now, here's the refinement of leadership skills. This is a good list to make. Be strong, but not rude. Be kind, but not weak. Strength we need, rudeness we don't need. Kindness we need, but not weakness. Some people mistake weakness for kindness. But don't do that for yourself. Next is to be bold, but not a bully. Refinement of leadership skills. Next is to be humble, but not timid. Humility we need. Timidity you must overcome. Drive it into a small corner. Don't let it dominate your life, whatever you have to do. Next is to be thoughtful but not lazy. Here's a good one. To be proud but not arrogant. Pride we need, arrogance we don't need. Family pride, personal pride, community pride, school pride, team pride. We do need pride but not arrogance. Next is humor without folly. This is part of sophistication everybody needs to work for. Humor without folly. Witty but not silly. These combinations are sometimes really difficult to pull off. Here's what the old prophet said. This is a good one for your notes. Be as wise as a serpent and as harmless as a dove. How to be both wise and harmless. See, that takes some real doing. Most wise people are not that harmless, and most harmless people are not that wise. But the real challenge is to be both wise and harmless. One of the writer of New Testament said, I've learned to be both ambitious and content. Now that is a real stretch. But here was his solution. To be content with what you've achieved and ambitious for more. Right? To engage in contentment with what you... If you're always discontented with what you've achieved or what you have, see that is the wrong malady.
The common theme that I've seen, those individuals that can tell their story and create value for the audience, and as a result of people being in the experience of that setting, they leave there feeling better about themselves, believing in their product, believing in the industry, and believing in the possibility that they can grow their business. And that's crucial.
And when you say story, it's not just in front of an audience, it might be just to another person.
101, small groups, on the telephone, because your product, there's a story behind it. Why you became involved in the business, there's a story behind it. You look at the Dexter Yeagers, the Sharon Sharifs, all of them had a story that they told that other people bought into. When you are presenting to any type of person, one individual, small group or large group, 3 questions going on in their head. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? And so if you don't answer those 3 questions, people will listen, they'll be polite, and then they'll walk away. The other underlying...
So say those 3 again.
Yeah, who are you? What do you have?
Right.
And why should I care? So you have to strategically tell your story to create an experience for the person. And it's very important, experience, Eric, because a lot of people who become involved in network marketing, they spend a lot of time giving out a lot of information.
Facts.
Yeah, facts. No. People, when they are listening to you, 2 questions going on in their head. Can I do it? And is it worth it? Okay? So you have to create an experience for that person to say, I can do this, and it's worth my doing this.
So it's an interesting, I love words, I love kind of figuring that out, and you, on purpose, said the word experience.
Yes.
Why is it? Because I've never heard somebody say it that way.
Because if information can change people, everybody will be skinny, rich, and happy. Okay, so it's not about the information. The order to you're talking to a person who's a 9-to-5 person, and you want them to transform their lives. You want them to go from 9 to 5 to working from 5 until they faint.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that's a whole different kind of person. They must be willing to die to who they are now to give birth to who they must become in order to be successful in this business.
Wow.
So you've got to create an experience for them where they feel motivated. There's no saying you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. However, if you strategically tell your story and create an experience for that person, you can create a thirst where they want to drink, where they want to be a part of this, where they share the vision, where they say, you know what, sign me up. I want to be a part of this, because you're creating a community of achievers. And in order to create that community of achievers, to increase your recruitment and to be able to retain your people that you bring into the business so it's not a swinging door, you've got to be able to tell that story again and again and again. Each time it's got to be fresh. Each time when people leave your presence, they must leave there feeling better about themselves, but talking about you and the role that you're playing in their lives and how you're transforming.
Literally use your weekends and evenings to do a test on anything. The best way is go and do a course, test it out. Try doing it once. Go and shadow someone who does it, someone in your life that does it. If you want to be a podcaster, come and shadow you guys for a week, right? And see what that life's like. See what it actually looks like to research, to sit with a guest, to find new guests, to work it out. Like, go and shadow someone who's already doing it. And then try and do it for a day. Like, try and do the schedule of someone you look up to for a day. Like, if you can do that for a day and you loved it, then do it for one more day. And if you loved it, do it for another day, and that's gonna trickle in. So that's a much smarter way to finding your passion, rather than just sitting there and reflecting, which is cool, which is important, but I'd encourage you to just get out there, right? Get out there and live the life of someone who's doing it when they started. That's another point. Don't focus on what people are doing now, focus on what they were doing when they started. So a lot of people ask me, they're like, Jay, how many videos do you make a week? I'm like, I make 3 videos a week, plus my podcast on top of that, plus Instagram. And they'll say, oh, wow, that's too much. And I was like, yeah, but when I started, I made 1 video a week, right? Like, you don't have to start at what I'm doing now. Like, you just start. So that, go back to that.
Here's a trick about gratitude. Writing down what you're grateful for doesn't work unless you do it this way. Because if I ask you what you're grateful for, everybody says the same thing. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for my health. And I'm grateful for my family. And that's so generic that you're not retraining your brain.
Right.
You've got to add in the because.
Right.
I'm grateful for X because.
Okay.
And the added detail will make you change up what you say, and it will also train your mind in a way that's more detailed, so it actually has a lasting impact on the way that you view the world.
I'd say I was quite rebellious and independent even as a monk. A lot of part of a monk's life is conforming and accepting authority and following a path. And those are all beautiful things for people who like those things. For me, it was a great training ground and a great system of giving me abilities and skills and habits that I didn't have before. But then I really felt a deep calling in my heart to want to share this in a specific way. So I kind of feel dragged to do what I do now because it's so deeply in me to want to make things relevant, non-sectarian, universal, and accepting of all truths and paths. It's just there, and I can't ignore it. And I got to a point in my monk life where I just felt I can't ignore this desire to want to go and spread this wisdom and insight in a way, independently, in a way that I feel will work and help people, you know, from an impact point of view. And so that was a big part of it.
I didn't ever start the site to generate revenue. So it was a blog. In fact, I didn't generate a cent of revenue for about 3 years. And I didn't put ads, I didn't do anything, because I didn't want people to think that this was some way for me to make a quick buck. I mean, the name of the site alone,
Right.
it already kind of makes you like, who's this weird guy? So eventually, about 3 years after starting it, I said, I want to just try selling something on the site. I'd never sold anything online. And this was late 2006. So there weren't a lot of people selling a ton of stuff online, but I said, let me put together a small ebook. It was about 30 pages, and I sold it for $4.95. And I absolutely love this because, first of all, that number is so small. And now, you know, we have courses that sell for over $12,000. And yet that $5 ebook was the most scared I've ever been about selling anything. So remember, I've been writing for free for 3 years, probably 3 to 5 times a week. I had a community that was really loyal. So these people there were like hundreds of comments on posts. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna post this. So I post the ebook. It was a good ebook, and it was beautifully designed. And I was afraid that people would call me a sellout, that people would say, oh, so this is a trick. You've just been building this up so you can sell. And actually, that's exactly what happened. I had people, and the comments are still live, you can go back and look at it, where people said, oh, I will teach me to be rich. And oh, so clearly you've jumped the shark. All these horrible things. And as an entrepreneur, that really hits you in the gut because I felt betrayed that I had been doing this for free for years. And I felt that people were questioning my ethics, that why would I play a 3-year trick, right? And just all these, and also when you think about it, is selling really tricking someone? Right. No, I don't believe it is. But back then, I was scared to sell. I didn't think anyone would buy. I was selling from my heels, which means I was almost apologizing.
Right.
So many entrepreneurs do that. Oh, I'm afraid. So what am I going to do? I'm going to lower my price. That'll make them love me. and of course, all of those things were wrong. What stood out to me, though, was that while there were all these loud, vocal minority commenters who were worthless, they were never going to buy no matter what.
Right.
There was a quiet group of people who were buying. And I could see the numbers. They were buying, they were sending me really positive emails, they were opening my emails more, so I could see the math. And I was kind of confused. How come there's this loud vocal minority of complainers, and then there are these people who are actually loving it and saying, what's next?
Right.
So that's when I made the decision that I didn't understand what was going on, but there was something going on here. And I want to figure it out. And over the next 3 years, I dived deep into the psychology of selling, into how to create world-class products, pricing, basically how to create value that people are so happy to pay that price is a mere triviality.
Wondering why other people's success or wondering why other people are successful is the refuge of losers.
Yes.
It's a loser mentality. It's a loser occupation. It's a loser practice because you're wondering why other people are successful. Like, who gives a f? You can say you think it sucks, but to spend time wondering why someone is successful and hating on someone for being successful, it doesn't do any good. It's like, what is that old expression that jealousy is, it's a poison that does the opposite of its intended?
Oh,
It
right.
doesn't affect the other person at all, but it poisons yourself.
Yeah.
It wastes your energy and time.